Hello everyone, Isaiah Rara here from the El Paso Society for Musicians of the Future. Today's video is going to be a little bit different because we're not going to dive into the crazy or fascinating history of music, but rather explain the foundations of music writing and or reading. Often when a beginner looks at a sheet of music, whether it be this or this, they might think to themselves, this is impossible. How am I supposed to read this? What do all these lines and symbols and all that mean? It's okay. Music reading and writing can sometimes be confusing, but if we understand the foundations, it's going to make analyzing it much easier and faster. So without further ado, join my fellow ambassadors Samuel Maddox and myself as we take you through the foundations of music. Let's do this.
Have you seen this before? I'm sure you have. What you are looking right now is the musical staff, which is a group of 5 lines in a horizontal position containing spaces in between them. The staff is where all of the notes, clefs, symbols, articulations, and all of that fun stuff is held. Every time that you read or write music, you will always have the staff there to get things rolling.
So you have the staff. What comes next? Well, the clef, of course. The clef is a symbol at the beginning of a piece of music located towards the far left of the staff. This clef symbol pretty much tells you what notes you will be playing and at which octave. For example, this note on the staff does not sound and identify the same on each clef. On bass clef, it represents C natural, but on treble clef, it represents A natural. 2 very different notes, huh? With that said, it is important to always know which clef you are playing in and how the notes differ. Heads up, there are 4 main clefs used in music, and they are the treble clef, the bass clef, the alto clef, and the tenor clef. But be aware because there are a few others.
Now that we know what clef we are in, let's look at those weird hashtag symbols or tiny letter B's next to the clef. The only thing is, they are not hashtag symbols or tiny letter B's. Rather, they are sharp or flat symbols, and the amount of them tells us what key we are in. To put this in simple terms, if we have 1 sharp symbol, the music is telling us that we are in the key of G major. Or if we have 1 flat symbol, this means that we are in F major. The more sharps or flats we add, the more the key changes. No sharps or flats present means we are in the key of C major. Why are key signatures important? Well, the position of the sharp or flat symbol on the staff tells us which note will always be either sharp or flat, unless changed with an accidental. This makes music composition and reading a million times easier, because then music won't look like this monstrosity. A key signature can only hold up to 7 sharps or flats at a time to represent the 7 different notes in a scale that can be changed. So don't go crazy and put more than that. Unless you want to be avant-garde.
At this point, we know what notes will be changed from their natural state and what each note on the staff reads. However, we come across this fraction, and I don't know about you, but I'm tired of seeing these in my 5 workbook pages for homework on Tuesday night. But here, they serve an important purpose and aren't too nasty to read. These fractions are called time signatures, and they let us know 2 important things. The number on the top tells us how many beats there are in a measure, while the bottom number lets us know what kind of note gets the beat. If we look at a 4/4 time signature, which is a very common time signature in the world of music, the number 4 on the top tells us that there are 4 beats in a measure. So if we have our metronome going, we have to know that after 4 of those beat noises, a new measure begins and the cycle repeats itself, like this. Now the bottom number, also the number 4, tells us that the quarter note gets the beat, according to music theory. A good way to understand this is to think of the measure like a dollar. How many quarters are in a dollar? 4. So it's the same idea with a measure, which contains 4 quarter notes, and when you add them all up, you get a full measure or a dollar. And I'm sorry guys, I lied. Time signatures can get ugly, especially with compound time signatures. But don't worry, we'll cover that in a future video. Go thank your math teachers and do your math homework, because to be honest, music theory is a bunch of math.
We are getting closer to the exciting part, guys. which are the actual notes. But first, you'll notice that when reading or composing music, a tempo marking or words will be added just above the staff to let the reader know how the music should be played. Now tempo, the speed or pace of a piece of music, can be written in two different ways, and that is with this marking right here, or with this writing. This marking shows you a quarter note followed by an equal sign and a number. That is telling you that the quarter note equals 120, and when you practice, the metronome should make its way up to 120 BPM. BPM, by the way, means beats per minute. Now with the writing, often in Italian language, can sometimes say andante, allegro, vivace, or many other things, and these are all indications of tempo. As you study music, you'll learn what each word or term means and what tempo markings they represent. For example, andante means playing at a moderately slow tempo or walking tempo, usually between 76 and 107 BPM. Now you might find other words such as con forza or dolce, and these words, along with many others, lets the reader know what kind of feeling the music should have. If you are rearranging Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, for example, you'll make sure that you tell your reader that the music should have a delicate feeling to it, not a rock or metal feeling. With that said, these terms and indications are crucial to the success of a performance of a piece of music.
You've made it this far in the video, so stick with me as I very quickly explain this last bit to you. At this point, we have covered the foundations of the music and explained what some of these symbols, writings, and so on mean to properly understand the composition. However, it is important to note that as you play through your music, a change of time signatures can appear, along with key signatures, tempo markings, and even clef changes. But as long as you understand the absolute foundations of music theory as we have explained, these changes will pose no issues for you. Keep a lookout for other symbols that may appear, such as accents, dynamics, repeats, articulations, and so on. Don't know what those are? Not to worry, we'll cover that in a future video. But with that said, thank you all for joining us on the foundations of music reading and composition. While we hope that this was helpful, please know that we have just tapped the very surface of music theory, and that there are many more concepts that we did not touch. Nonetheless, stay healthy, safe, and never stop learning. We will see you next week.